building and two members of the staff. Had her words anything to do with Mr. Ryder or Father Levigny? Almost once a possible explanation leaped to my brain. If a stranger came in from outside, he could only do so in disguise. अगर stranger बाहर से आएगा तो वो disguise में होगा. And there was only one person whose general appearance lent itself to such an impersonation. Father Levigny. मतलब ऐसा ही आदमी है जो कि impersonate हो सकता है Father Levigny. With a sun helmet, sunglasses, and black beard, and a monk's long woolen robe, a stranger could pass in without the servants realizing that the stranger had entered. Was that Miss Johnson's meaning, or had she gone further? Did she realize that Father Levigny's whole personality was a disguise, or that he was someone other than what he pretended to be? Knowing what I know about Father Levigny,
बहुत ही अच्छी डिप्रेशन का आदमी होगा बट
देखते हैं. Knowing what I did not know about Father Levigny, I was inclined to call the mystery solved. Raw Mania was the murderer. He had killed Mrs. Leidner to silence her before she could give him away. Now, another person lets him see that she has penetrated his secret. She too must be removed. And so everything is explained. हो सकता Father Levigny ने कहा. The second murder, Father Levigny's flight minus the robe and the beard, he and his friend are doubtless careering through Syria with excellent passports as two commercial travelers. His action in placing the under Miss Johnson's bed. As I say, I was almost satisfied, but not quite. For the perfect solution must explain everything, and this does not do so. It does not explain, for instance, why Miss Johnson should say the window as she was dying. Miss Johnson the window क्यों बोल रही थी? It does not explain her fit of weeping over the letter. वो लेटर पे क्यों रो रही थी? It does not explain her mental attitude on the roof, her incredulous horror, and her refusal to tell Nurse Litteran what it was that she suspected or knew. या तो उसने क्या सस्पेक्ट किया था, उसने नर्स लिथरन को क्यों नहीं बताया? वो छत पे जाके हॉरर पे क्यों किया था? It was a solution that fitted the outer facts, but it did not fit the psychological requirements. And then, as I stood on the roof, going over in my mind those 3 points, the letters, the roof, the window, I saw just as Miss Johnson had seen. And this time, what I saw explained everything. The journey's end. Poirot looked around. Every eye was now fixed upon him. There had been a certain relaxation, a slackening of tension. Now the tension suddenly returned. There was something coming, something. Poirot's voice, quite unimpassioned, went on. The letters, the roof, and the window. Yes, everything was explained, everything fell into place. I said just now that 3 men had alibis for the crime. 2 of these alibis have shown to be worthless. I saw now my great and my amazing mistake. The third alibi was worthless too. Not only could Dr. Leidner have committed the murder, but I was convinced he had committed it. There was a silence, a bewildered, uncomprehending silence. Dr. Leidner said nothing. He seemed lost in his faraway world still. David Emmett, however, stirred uneasily and spoke. I don't know what you mean to imply, Monsieur Poirot. I told you that Dr. Leidner never left the room until a quarter to three. दिस इज द एब्सोल्यूट ट्रुथ. डेविड अमट बोला भैया क्वार्टर टू 3 के पहले नहीं गए. ये ट्रुथ है, वो छत पे ही थे. आई स्वेयर इट solemnly. I am not lying. And it would have been quite impossible for him to have done so without my seeing him. Poirot nodded. Oh, I believe you. Dr. Leitner did not leave the roof. Roof को छोड़े नहीं. That is the undisputed fact. But what I saw and what Miss Johnson had seen was that Mr. Dr. Leitner could murder his wife from the roof without leaving it. We all stared. The window, cried Poirot. Her window. This is what I realized, just as Miss Johnson realized it. Her window was directly underneath on the side away from the courtyard. And Dr. Leitner was alone up there with no one to witness his actions. And those heavy stone querns and grinders were all up there ready on his hands. So simple, so very simple, granted one thing that the murderer had the opportunity to move the body before anyone else saw it. Oh, it is beautiful, of unbelievable simplicity.
ऊपर से मार दिया.
Listen, it went like this. Dr. Leitner is on the roof working with the pottery. He calls you up, Mr. Emmett, and while he holds you in talk, he notices that, as usually happens, the small boy takes advantage of your absence to leave his work and go outside the courtyard. ठीक है? He keeps with you he keeps you with him 10 minutes and then he lets you go as soon as you are down below, shouting to the boy. He sets his plan in action. He takes from his pocket the plasticine smeared mask with which he had already scared his wife on a former occasion and dangles it over the edge of the parapet till it taps on his wife's window. That, remember, is the window given to the courtyard facing the opposite direction of the courtyard. Mrs. Leitner, am I सुन रही हो? Mrs. Leitner is lying on her bed, half asleep. She is peaceful and happy. Suddenly, the mask begins tapping the window and attracts her attention. वहाँ सुन रही हो?
हाँ, एक चीज.
But it is not dusk now, it is broad daylight. There is nothing terrifying about it. She recognizes for what it is a crude form of trickery. She is not frightened but indignant. गुस्सा नहीं आई, गुस्सा. She does what any other woman would do in her place. Jumps off the bed, opens the window, and passes her head through the bars and turns her face upwards to see who is playing this trick on her. समझ गई? Dr. Leitner is waiting. He has in his hands, poised and ready, a heavy quern. At the psychological moment, he drops it. With a faint cry heard by Miss Johnson, Mrs. Leitner collapses on the rug underneath the window. Now there's a hole in this quern, and through that, Dr. Leitner had previously passed a cord. He now has to unhaul in the cord and bring up the quern. He replaces the latter neatly, bloodstained inside down, amongst the other objects of the kind on the roof. Then he continues his work for an hour or more till he judges the moment has come for the second act. He descends the stairs, speaks to Mr. Emmett and Nurse Litharan, crosses the courtyard and enters his wife's room. This is the explanation he himself gives us of his movements there. I saw my wife's body in a heap by the bed. For a moment or two, I felt paralyzed as though I couldn't move. Then at last, I went down and knelt by her and lifted her up her head. I saw she was dead. At last, I got up. I felt dazed as though I were drunk. I managed to get to the door and call out. A perfectly possible account of the actions of a grief dazed man. Now listen to what I believe to be the truth. Dr. Leitner enters the room, hurries to the window, and having pulled on a pair of gloves, closes it and fastens it. Then he picks up his wife's body, transports it to a position between the bed and the door. Then he notices a slight stain on the window's side rug. He cannot change it with the other rug, they're a different size. But then he does the next best thing. He puts the stained rug in front of the washstand and rug from the washstand under the window. If the stain is noticed, it will be connected with the washstand, not with the window, a very important point. There must be no suggestion that the window played any part in this business. Then he comes to the door and acts the part of overcome husband. And that I imagine is not difficult, for he did love his wife. My good man, cried Doctor really impatiently. If he loved her, why did he kill her? Where's the motive? Can't you speak like that? Tell him he's mad. Dr. Laida neither spoke nor moved. अम्मा सुन रही हो? अम्मा सो गई.